Hello again. Back at the old Haywood Plains channel, we're looking at the P-26 pea shooter. And so right now I'm just cutting templates to fit for the sidewall. We've got our cockpit floor here, and that's just going to slide right across where the two side keels are. And then it just slides underneath this doubler that I cut for the back and headrest. So there you see how the cockpit floor is going to fit in. So now I just want to get the two sides together. So I'm just gonna fit this one and then trace it onto the cardstock, a little bit oversized, just in case there's a discrepancy in the size of the two pieces. And then we'll trim it down. So this just needs to be trimmed just a little bit more. So, and if you're wondering where these lines came from, I'll show you in a second. And then you can see how it began life as a template, potential template. All right, so we're getting close here. We're almost down to where it fits flush. Looks like I just need to take a little bit more off the top, as you would say to the barber on any given day. So we're just going to slice off a 1/2 millimeter here again. And that's about the incremental size you want to start with, is about 1 millimeter, and then down to 1/2 millimeter as you get close. You know, it's okay to have a part that's a little too big, because you can pare it down to size, but if it's a little too small, you know, it's going to leave a gap, and you don't want that. So we're still just a little bit oversized. We're just going to take off another 1/2 millimeter from the front, not from the top, from the front. A little heavy towards the top of this side piece. Yeah, all right, it's a family show. So anyway, we're trying to fit that in, make it work. Come on, get happy. So we've got to take a little bit more off. And we're getting close there, if you can see that slight gap at the bottom. And we've got plenty of room here at the top. And what we're going to end up with is a fold at both the top and bottom. So we're going to score cut across here and across the top. We're going to wrap this stringer just a little bit, and we're going to fold in onto the top of the floor this way, under, into the cabin, or into the cockpit, as it were. I keep trying to cut that top. I don't want to cut the top. So we're just going to take another 1/2 millimeter off. And see what that did. Let's get you back across here. The bottom doesn't have to be in there for me to do this. I just want to give you, the viewers at home, a better sense of it as we get closer. So we're just about there. This is going to fit right up against that sidewall. Now, am I going to use cardstock on the sides? Probably, but I think the floor is going to be birch ply. It doesn't have to be, and it may just be cardstock. I'm still thinking about that. So we're almost down to the initial line, which was a tracing. So I mean, not a tracing, but what would you call it? Yeah, I guess it's a tracing. Anyway, I'll show you in a second. All right, so right now, that's a pretty good fit right there. That's about as good as it's going to get. But we're going to make that fold at the bottom, and then see what that does. That we want to cut that crease on the back side. So let's get this position where we can see it. I don't want to cut it on the plan per se. All right. little bit higher, maybe right about there. A little score cut. All right, that looks pretty good. Do it this way since the cork is on the other side. There we go. Let's get it started. Don't get me started. Right, we go a little bit harder with that. So fold it into the cockpit, drop it down, and right as I thought it. So now the part is thicker above the base of it down there. So we're going to have to trim just a little bit more off of this thing. I'm going to straighten it out. And this time we're going to take the line and that might just about do it, although we might have to take a little bit more off. Let's see. We're almost there. You see how that snugs up to the floor. Let's push this back over. All right. So we got the floor in. We just have to push this out a little bit. Oops. Not that much, but a little bit. And we've got a flush fit to the floor. As you can see there, it does need to come down just a little bit more. So I think we're still just a skoshie too thick or too wide. So in this case, I think what I'll do is take a little off the back. I can't really see that line there. Here we go. Take off about this much. Again, just about a half mil again. And then the part should recess in there. Land about where we want it to. And the fold should lie flat on the bottom. Right about there. That might be too far out. So we got to put the infill piece right there. You see, that's not bad. It can go down just a little bit further. Let's make sure we're not. Okay, so there it fit behind my doubler and more to the actual bulkhead, and that made it fit. So I don't have to trim anymore. We've got good fitment now. So what I want to do is just make sure it conforms to the doubler along this edge here. Back here, it needs to conform to the doubler when I glue it. And then this is fine along the cockpit panel bulkhead. That's good enough there. So then what we're going to end up doing here is slicing off a good 1/8 inch of this cardstock above the top stringer, and then another score cut, crease cut, so that we can fold it then over the top of this. And then with a razor, one of these blades, I can just slice off any overhang of paper so that it's just stringer out here. And that gives us a sandable surface that we can still shape and sand. Right, so that's the left cockpit side done. So I'll just take this out, trace it onto a sheet of cardstock here, and make the other side. So let's make it easy on ourselves. We'll use the existing edge of paper here. Make fewer cuts. And get better yield out of the cardstock, which is cheap anyway, but you always want to think about yield, I think. I think you want to think about yield, I think. So we can cut this pretty close. I'm going to go a little oversized just because we don't know from right to left how close in symmetry we are. I like to think it'll be perfect. You know, but just in case we're off a little bit from one side to the other, which is a possibility. Those bulkheads, they move around a bit when you're putting the side keels in, and it's the side keels that fix them into that right angle position. And so as you're putting in the side keels, sometimes the sometimes the bulkheads will flex forward or backward and they end up not squared, and if you're not careful. And I have to say, I've been carefuler. I've been more careful on other builds than it seems that I was on this one when it came to that. So we had a little bit of we had some of these bulkheads swimming around on us a little bit, and you know, finding themselves in positions other than optimal from the 90-degree square point of view. All right, so I should have marked top and back and front, and I didn't, but I think it's this. Oh yeah, sure, it's this. You can see that we're oversized, and that's a good thing. You can also see that the angle might be a little off comparatively, so now it's time to take a look at that. Well, let's see, once again, where are we here? What did we do? What did we do? I think we did this, actually. Yeah, that would make sense. It's this way. All right, so we do have to do a little bit of trimming, but it's not bad. Let me get this marked up for top and front. You don't have to, you know, label it that way. You know, if you're smarter than me, you know, if you mark the one, you'll know then which way to orient it. But I mark two because that's just the kind of material I'm cut from. Okay, so yeah, this is top. Okay, that's the bottom. All right, so I think right off the bat what I need to do is square this line. So we're just going to come in about a ½ mil from where it's skinny and close, and just kind of make sure that we get a straight line from there, consistently close to our drawn in line. Okay, so now we're on the other side of the airplane. That's a little better, but looks like we need to take a little bit off the front side here. So we're going to do the same thing on the front side. And see how I'm close here and then a little bit further off down there. That's where the problem is. So that's the part we'll take off first. We'll just get it a consistent line all the way down. Let's see if that fixes our fitment. And it almost does. Let's see if we get outside of my doubler. And then we find ourselves almost fit. So I think another ½ mil off the front edge here should get us into our ballpark. Speaking of ballparks, how about them Padres? They're using legitimate baseball bats, and much less in payroll than the either the Dodgers or Yankees, but it's only 5 games. What am I talking about? What are we even talking about? All right, so we're close. Let's see if we can fit this outside of the doubler. Get a little further down. Not so much. All right, so we're going to take another ½ mil off the front, and then we can start thinking about score cutting the bottom, getting that fold, seeing where we actually are here. Okay, we're going to leave the line, but we're just outside of it. There we go. Leave the line, take the line. We're going to leave the line until we can get this figured out. So that looks pretty good. Now again, when I cut the bottom, that means the side's going to go deeper, which means the width is going to grow, and we'll probably be cutting it again. But I need to, well, you need to walk before you can run, so we're going to make this cut down here and then see where we're at, where we are. I think it was about that wide. Looks right. Okay. So let's draw the blade through here. Not too hard. We don't want to lose the paper. I want to cut right through it. We just want to score cut it. And then use the ruler to make a crisp edge or fold. Alright, I guarantee you now we're going to have to trim a little more off the side to get that to go in. And we are. That's fine. We knew it. We know this. Alright, so let's take this edge off, down just a little bit further. Well, that's a curve. I want to straighten that. So let's just do it this way. There we go. Alright, let's see what we got. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, that's a good fit. That's gonna fly, I think. Walk this out a little further, press down, and then it looks like might need to take just a little bit more at the top, just to get it to come all the way down with that fold, and bring that fold all the way flush down. So let's see, this curls outward here. Let's take this off. I think the other side's right. Let's just see if that did it. Yeah, I think that did it. We're close enough here. We're getting, if I get outside of my doubler, I'll just take a little bit off of